Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. The 10th anniversary gala unfolded atop the Star of the Gulf, the moon spilling silver over Lagos's skyline. Elites in opulent gowns and tuxedos mingled under crystal chandeliers as a string quartet wove a melody through the warm night air. Ifunanya Funke, Okoye stood at the center, her ivory lace gown shimmering like morning dew. She raised her flute of champagne and smiled at her husband, oil magnate Emeka Okoye, whose tailored midnight blue suit gleamed in the soft light. 10 years of devotion, discovery and daring, Funke announced, her voice carrying across the deck. Gasps fluttered when she paused, then declared she would dedicate half of Emeka's fortune to launch a national women's empowerment fund. Applause erupted, mingled with curious whispers. Emeka's polite clap masked a storm in his dark eyes. Moments later, he offered her another glass. The champagne's effervescence tickled her tongue, then inertia seized her limbs. Vision blurred, laughter rippled into distortion. Funke's heart jolted, something was wrong. She blinked at Emeka's face, contorted in false concern. His hand tightened on her elbow, guiding her to the railing. She choked, lungs panting. Emeka's free hand slipped into his jacket pocket. Funke felt his phone pressing against her ribs, the camera's red light flickering. "Stay with me," he crooned, voice low and deadly. With a sudden shove, he sent her arching overboard. Time slowed, fabric billowed, droplets caught in the yacht's lights like fallen stars. A piercing cry sprang from a guest, then chaos. Life rings flew, voices screamed. Emeka's commanding shout, "Stand back! Professionals only!" Silenced would-be rescuers. By dawn's haze, the yacht docked, Funke presumed gone. Flashbulbs captured Emeka's anguished press release. His beloved wife swept into the abyss. But near Third Mainland Bridge, a lone stiletto bobbed on the waves alongside an untethered life ring. Symbols of a secret still alive. The ocean's embrace was brutal. Cold water surged around Funke, her designer gown tangling against her limbs like a net. Panic clawed at her throat as she fought to stay afloat, heels dragging her toward the depths. Salt stung her eyes and every gasp felt like inhaling shards of ice. Rage fueled determination. She clawed at fabric, tearing free the gown and tossing aside shoes. With raw desperation, she kicked through the black water, guided by distant yacht lights that blurred into glassy reflections. Each stroke was agony, lungs threatening to collapse, but memories of betrayal burned brighter than fatigue. Hours passed in a haze of pain and resolve. Finally, a faint glow emerged. Lanterns aboard a fishing boat returning to shore at dawn. Funke summoned her last reserves and swam toward salvation. Calloused hands yanked her aboard. Fishermen, faces etched with surprise, wrapped her in coarse blankets. Whispers spread, "Is this the billionaire's wife?" They laid her on straw mats in a humble hut. Elderly Ama Osei, a retired nurse, applied herbal poultices to bruises and murmured prayers. Funke drifted between consciousness and darkness, haunted by Emeka's recordings swirling in her mind. At sunrise, she opened her eyes to villagers' compassionate gazes. Hunger and pollution had hollowed their lives. Once thriving nets now returned empty. Funke's ring gleamed as villagers murmured gratitude and disbelief. She flexed her fingers and tasted salt and hope. Alone, marooned, bruised, but alive. A chorus of roosters greeted dawn as Funke awoke to sizzling plantains and coconut porridge. Ama Osei hovered, changing soaked bandages. Outside, nets lay abandoned, coated in oil slicks traced to Okoye Energy's offshore rigs. The villagers' eyes brimmed with silent agony. Determined, Funke rose before sunrise and joined fishermen hauling nets. Each empty catch sharpened her guilt. Emeka's empire had ruined these lives as he almost ruined hers. Recognition flickered when a fisherman glimpsed her ring. News spread that the missing Okoye wife had washed ashore. Ama's whispered warning followed. Emeka's operatives scoured coastal settlements, bribing informants for any trace. Funke shivered, not from cold, but from the knowledge that her presence endangered these strangers. As dusk approached, she traced a strategy in the sand: media outlets abroad, legal loopholes in Lagos courts, diaspora networks yearning for justice. Villagers gathered around, their hopes entwined with hers. Under a ruby sky, she vowed, they would rise from despair and she would be their champion. Funke shed her past identity, adopting the name Ada. She mastered Igbo and Yoruba, and alongside Ama and local women, crafted eco-friendly Ankara bags from discarded nets. By lamplight, she taught photography and social media marketing gleaned from stolen Wi-Fi pulses. Under hashtag Phoenix Rises, she posted raw clips of children coughing in oil-stained water and fishermen pointing at barren seas. Lagos influencers amplified the reels. Orders for eco-bags poured in, channeling funds for medical supplies and cleanup crews. Emeka's PR team derided them as eco-terrorists, but faces, grainy yet poignant, cut through corporate spin. Each evening, Ada and Ama reviewed fundraising metrics and planned the next leak. Documents detailing Okoye Energy's offshore shell companies and bribery schemes. Daylight found her studying corporate filings. Nightfall saw her sewing bags with newfound sisters. In a shadowed cafe on Victoria Island, Funke met Tun Balagan, her university confidant now wealth manager at Zenith Bank. His panicked eyes widened when she revealed her survival and Emeka's betrayal. Over fragrant jollof and palm wine, she laid out her plan. Expose Emeka's secret assets and environmental crimes. Tun slid a USB drive across the table. I moved his funds offshore, he whispered, voice trembling. I believed you dead. This haunts me. Funke's gaze softened even as resolve solidified. She tucked the drive into her bag as rain pattered outside. Across the street, headlights cut through dusk, Emeka's men closing in. Funke melted into Lagos's maze, the first strike against her husband's empire securely in hand. Under a moonless sky, Ada huddled by the village's makeshift communication shack, its solar panels sputtering in the coastal breeze. With trembling fingers, she inserted Tun's USB drive into her battered laptop. Lines of encrypted data streamed across the cracked screen. Memos ordering toxic waste dumping, invoices for hush money bribes, yacht logs detailing clandestine voyages. Each file bore Emeka's signature. Her pulse thundered. She selected the cleanest evidence. Internal emails outlining suppressed environmental impact studies and transfer records to shell companies in the Cayman Islands. Using a secure VPN crafted by tech-savvy youths in the diaspora, she uploaded a whistleblower dossier to the Guardian's investigative desk in London. Fingers crossed, she hit send. Dawn broke as her phone buzzed relentlessly. Notifications from across continents lit the screen. The Guardian had published the exposé. The headline glowed like a beacon. Okoye Energy exposed. Toxic dumping, shell accounts, and murder plots. Ada watched board members' private messages leak into the public sphere, regulators announcing inquiries, and social media erupting in outrage under hashtag Okoye exposed. Emeka's world tilted. In his glass-walled Lagos office, he watched stock tickers dive. His phone crackled with demands. The board called emergency sessions, investors threatened lawsuits, and journalists pounded his PR team. He pounded his fists on the mahogany desk. Find the leaker, he snarled. Silence them before dawn. Across Lagos, black SUVs with tinted windows roared toward coastal villages. Emeka's operatives, faces masked, planned to cut off the IP trail and intimidate Ama's community into silence. But Ada anticipated this move. She'd set up multiple deadman switches. Each data upload triggered encrypted backup releases to allies in New York, Abuja, and London. Even if her connection was severed, the story would endure. Late that morning, she appeared at the shoreline, discreetly shooting clips of fishermen pointing at oil-slicked beaches. They silenced me once, she whispered into her camera, but now thousands speak for me. As she uploaded live video through a backup satellite link, distant sirens mingled with villagers' shouts of solidarity. The tide of public opinion had turned. Emeka's legal team scrambled to file defamation suits, but the evidence was too overwhelming. As global pressure mounts, will Okoye Group crumble, or will Emeka unleash a ruthless counterattack to reclaim his empire? By midday, Ada's live streams had triggered a digital tsunami. Hashtags #Justice for Coast and #Phoenix Rises trended across Twitter and Instagram. International NGOs issued statements condemning Okoye Energy. Celebrity activists shared her footage. In London, The Guardian followed up with an in-depth feature. In New York, financial analysts downgraded Okoye Group's credit rating. Back in Lagos, protests erupted outside Okoye's headquarters. University students, environmental activists, and coastal communities marched under banners reading "Stop the Oil Blood" and "Fund Our Future." The boardroom crackled with tension. Emeka's executives watched live coverage, hearts sinking as security lines struggled to hold back demonstrators. In a dimly lit war room, Emeka's PR chief, Amaka, proposed a counteroffensive, plant fake evidence of extremist sabotage, discrediting Ada's movement. Emeka shot her down. "No," he growled. "We fight with truth." but our truth. He ordered a complete audit to identify and disprove each allegation. Meanwhile, Ada held encrypted video conferences with diaspora donors, coordinating relief shipments and legal teams. She uploaded villagers' testimonies, mothers describing oil-tainted water killing their children. Each segment ended with a plea, "Stand with us." Each plea gained traction. With both digital and street-level fronts ablaze, can Ada sustain the momentum long enough to break Emeka's will, without betraying her hidden identity? Emeka convened an emergency board meeting in his glass tower as dusk stained the sky crimson. Major investors leaned forward, eyes cold. The screen behind Emeka displayed live social media feeds of protesting villagers. A senior partner from Africa Growth Capital slammed the conference table. "This is a liability. We pull funding until this is resolved." Emeka rose, voice calm but steel beneath. "We negotiate restoration contracts, publicly and privately. We'll finance the cleanup, establish a community fund." His CFO, Chidi Nwankwo, narrowed his eyes. "That still admits guilt, sir. We'll face billions in fines and class action lawsuits." A murmur rippled the room. Emeka's board was split. Half urged a hardline defense, half a strategic settlement. Emeka slammed his palm against the table. "Silence and settlements feed the narrative of guilt. We strike back with counterclaims." At that moment the door slid open. A lawyer from Lagos's top firm entered, bearing a court injunction, a class action suit filed on behalf of thousands of coastal families. The room went deathly quiet. With courtroom battles looming and stakeholders fracturing, can Emeka regain control, or is his empire already unraveling? In a bustling Lagos courtroom, human rights attorney Ifeoma Obi stood before the bench, her voice unwavering. "Your Honor, this suit represents 4,000 fishermen, wives and children poisoned by Okoye Energy's negligence. We demand restitution, environmental remediation and compensation for lost livelihoods." Cameras flashed as she laid out satellite imagery, forensic water tests, and bank records tracking hush money payments. Behind the prosecution's table sat Funke, disguised as Ada, in oversized glasses and a headscarf. Her heart hammered as Ifeoma detailed Emeka's order to silence a whistleblower, her. The defense attorney rose, accusing the plaintiffs of sensationalism and questioning jurisdiction. He branded the villagers as opportunists. The judge, stern and methodical, scheduled a preliminary hearing in 2 weeks, urging both sides to prepare extensive documentation. Outside, press waited. Ada slipped away through a back alley, breathing relief. On the courthouse steps, villagers cheered. Journalists swarmed them, capturing their tearful gratitude. Ada watched on a phone live stream, tears of hope mingling with fear. With legal pressures mounting and Emeka's lawyers hunting every loophole, will justice prevail, or will corporate power trump the people's voice? Understanding the power of narrative, Ada arranged a clandestine interview with Amina Kale, host of Nigeria's top independent news channel. In a dim studio lit by soft spotlights, Funke, face partially obscured, recounted her survival, betrayal and the villagers' plight. Amina pressed gently, "Why risk everything to fight your husband?" Funke's gaze hardened. "Because truth is the only inheritance some people will ever have." She described Emeka's smug recording as she sank into the sea, then the coastal communities mired in oil. Her voice trembled with righteous anger and unwavering resolve. Within hours the clip went viral, 30 million views in 24 hours. International outlets picked it up, BBC, Al Jazeera, NPR, projecting Ada's story onto global stages. Emeka's carefully curated apology video backfired, seen as hollow. His company's stock plunged further. Back in Lagos, Emeka watched his empire crumble on his office monitors. His brow furrowed in fury. "Bring me legal recourse," he barked at his PR chief, who scrambled to draft cease and desist orders. But each takedown notice only fueled the Streisand effect, reigniting global interest. Meanwhile, Ada leveraged the attention to shore up alliances. She appeared on morning talk shows disguised, shared villagers' stories in embassies, and rallied diaspora investors. Funky Ankara bags bearing #PhoenixRises logos arrived in pop-up shops across London and New York, with proceeds funneled into cleanup efforts. By dusk, Emeka's executives whispered of emergency board votes. His personal phone, and his name, had become toxic. With Emeka desperate and his assets slipping, can Ada maintain the media frenzy long enough to force corporate accountability? The announcement of the Coastal Restoration Gala had reverberated through Lagos's social pages. Emeka Okoye would unveil a truly transformative $150 million initiative. Diplomats, donors and reporters clamored for invitations, eager to witness his redemption. Funke, adopting her Ada persona, slipped inside the Okoye mansion's ornate gates under the guise of Countess Ada Benifo, a Belgian philanthropist with a discreet accent and a passion for marine conservation. Inside the grand ballroom, crystal chandeliers sparkled over tables draped in ivory silk. Servers moved like dancers among guest clusters. Ambassadors in brocade robes, corporate titans in designer suits, and celebrities flashing cameras. Emeka, resplendent in a bespoke tuxedo, took the stage to welcome attendees. His voice boomed through the sound system. "Tonight we unite for our coast, our children, and our future." Polite applause followed, but murmurs drifted through the crowd. Had he truly meant every word? While Emeka signed ceremonial documents, Ada drifted into a restricted hallway, her sapphire mask concealing a laser microcamera. She referred to digitally altered blueprints she'd obtained from a hacked security feed. Rounding a corner, she found the so-called gala briefing room, locked with a biometric scanner. Flicking a concealed gadget to spoof the scan, she entered. Inside lay documents marked fund allocation, service agreements, and vendor contacts. As she leafed through the files, her stomach clenched. What promised genuine restitution was little more than a money-laundering labyrinth. Genuine relief contracts existed only as ghost entries. Real funds would reroute to Okoye's offshore accounts through shell corporations. Capturing every page with rapid-fire photos, Ada spotted a tray of embossed envelopes addressed to key stakeholders. A last-minute bribe so subtle it would pass auditors. She stuffed them into her clutch. Suddenly, alarms bellowed. The ballroom's gilded doors burst open as protesters, environmental activists and villagers flown in under false pretenses, stormed the gala, hurling red-painted sand across the marble floor. Gasping guests scattered. Glass shattered underfoot. Emeka commanded his security team, but the mansion's reputation lay in tatters as video crews streamed the chaos live. Ada fled via service corridors, sliding through kitchen doors stained with spilled champagne. A security guard pursued, she ducked into a laundry chute and tumbled into a basement storeroom. From there, she accessed the mansion's old staff tunnel, winding toward the docks. Dawn light crept across the water as she emerged near a delivery entrance. By sunrise, her exposé bombshell was live. Gala of Deception, Okoye's coastal charity exposed. Screens across Nigeria lit up with the story. The so-called Green Fund, it revealed, was an elaborate sham. With his grand gesture unmasked as fraud, what final desperation will drive Emeka's downfall? Rain hammered the deserted Okoye Group parking garage as Chidi Nwankwo's black sedan rolled to a halt. Funke, hidden in a hooded raincoat, waited beneath a flickering fluorescent lamp. Chidi emerged, face pale, clutching a slim briefcase. "I couldn't sleep," he rasped, thrusting the case toward her. "They're burying the truth in hundreds of false invoices." Inside lay meticulously detailed audit reports. Coded spreadsheets tracing diverted funds, internal memos ordering falsified environmental certificates, and bank transfer confirmations disguising bribes. The evidence spanned 5 years of crimes. Funke activated her hidden recorder. Under the torrent of rain, Chidi confessed, "I believed we could control the damage, until I saw the villages die." His hands shook. "I helped authorize the payments that funded yacht refurbishments and offshore accounts. I can't carry this anymore." As he spoke, headlights cut through the downpour, Emeka's security team arriving in armored SUVs. Chidi's eyes widened. He shoved Funke toward an exit. "Go," he shouted. Bullets pinged steel pillars. Funke sprinted through the rain-slick lot clutching the case. A single shot snapped in the air, but she vanished into the shadows. Racing to a safe house, she uploaded the documents to international regulators and major news outlets. Chidi's sacrificial confession triggered immediate action. The U.S. Justice Department and Nigerian anti-corruption agencies opened joint investigations. With the CFO's testimony igniting global probes, can Emeka's empire withstand coordinated legal assaults? Markets opened to a maelstrom. Okoye Group's stock plummeted 70% as trading floors buzzed with panic. Institutional investors filed emergency motions to freeze assets, while sovereign wealth funds severed ties. In New York, London, and Lagos, analysts declared the company too toxic. In Lagos's Glass Tower, Emeka convened an emergency board meeting via holographic conference. Faces flickered. African Growth Capital, European pension funds, and Middle Eastern sovereign wealth representatives. One voice cut through static. "We withdraw funding." Your crimes breach our charters. Others echoed the sentiment. Emeka's defiant roar echoed through the empty corridors. You signed contracts. You can't just walk away. Yet slide decks displayed leaked financials and Chitty's confession. Pressure mounted to install an interim CEO untainted by scandal. Back in the coastal village, Funke monitored global news feeds on her phone. She coordinated with legal teams to file motions in multiple jurisdictions, leveraging the CFO's evidence to secure injunctions against asset dissipation. As the board edges toward ousting Emeka, will shareholders' revolt spell permanent exile for the fallen magnate? By midday, Okoye Energy entered crisis protocol. Rigs went dark, field operations halted, and an emergency internal audit was announced. Employees received layoff notices via mass email, suppliers protested unpaid invoices, contractors sued for breach of contract. Credit agencies downgraded the company to junk status. International banks suspended credit lines. Refineries in Warri and Port Harcourt saw production stall, contributing to national fuel shortages. Journalists documented protest lines, villagers brandishing placards reading "Okoye killed our coast." In his secluded Abuja villa, Emeka watched the collapse on a cracked television. He poured whiskey, glass trembling in his hand. His advisors urged damage control, public apologies, resignations, community outreach. Emeka shook his head. No retreats. This is an attack on my life's work. With the corporate leviathan crumbling, what last gambit will Emeka deploy to reclaim power? Under the cover of dawn mist, Interpol agents surrounded Emeka's Abuja hideout. A joint task force had traced his movements through satellite phone metadata and the CFO's leaked communications. When agents knocked, they found empty rooms. Emeka had fled. News broke. His private jet vanished from radar over the Sahara Valley en route to Dubai. Warrants were issued, Interpol blue notices and red notices alike. Funke, watching with Amma in a coastal hut, whispered, "He's cornered." Yet Emeka's reach stretched into dark networks. His flight was only the opening move. Now a fugitive beyond borders, will Emeka's final ploy unleash a greater threat, or seal his fate? In Dubai, Emeka laid low in a luxury penthouse. Funke traveled under diplomatic cover, meeting Interpol agents in hidden safehouses. Together they tracked his movements. Disguised as a development consultant, Funke arranged a meeting in a deserted hangar. Emeka arrived with 2 bodyguards. She revealed black box flight logs and CCTV footage of his dealings. His guards lunged, Funke disarmed one with a swift judo throw. Drone body cams streamed the skirmish live to Interpol command. As Dubai police stormed in, Emeka dropped his weapon. Cuffed and defiant, he spat, "You may win this round, but my network is vast." Dawn broke as agents escorted him away. With Emeka finally in custody, can Funke dismantle his remaining web of influence? Back in Lagos, Funke emerged at a press conference on 3rd Mainland Bridge, the very spot of her near-death. Cameras rolled as she announced the Funke Okoye Foundation, a coalition for environmental justice and women's empowerment. She unveiled partnerships with UN agencies and diaspora investors. Donations soared. Amma and village leaders joined her on stage, their testimonies stirring global audiences. Can Funke's foundation withstand political backlash and bureaucratic inertia? In Abuja, Funke hosted the inaugural Women's Empowerment Summit. African leaders and grassroots activists gathered. She launched microloan initiatives and scholarships for girls in affected regions. Her keynote emphasized sustainable development. True progress heals communities and the planet. Standing ovations followed. Will entrenched interests sabotage these bold initiatives? In a Lagos High Court packed with press, Judge Okoye delivered the verdict. Emeka Okoye guilty on all counts: attempted murder, environmental destruction, and corporate fraud. Sentence: 25 years plus $5 billion in restitution. Emeka's shock turned to rage as bailiffs' irons clicked shut. Villagers and journalists celebrated outside. With restitution ordered, can communities rebuild, or will bureaucracy stall the funds? 1 year later, the coastal village thrived. Fishing boats returned, children attended solar-powered schools, and mangrove saplings lined the shore. Funke and Amma planted the final tree in a ceremonial grove. TV crews filmed smiles where despair once reigned. Funke reflected, from betrayal rose purpose, and now hope endures. As the sun rose over calm waves, a new chapter began, one of lasting change. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe, and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.